All right, so that report's from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, and giving us a sense that I suppose we've kind of been sensing for a while now. Let's now be joined by Mandilake Dlula, who's a third-year journalism student from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. He did the research for that particular story that we've just seen. A very good morning to you, Mandilake. Thanks so much for joining us. That story that you showed us, it seems to be a theme that's playing out across the country. Did it surprise you, some of the comments that were coming through?
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. Yes, definitely, as you know, that youth constitutes a large proportion of our population in South Africa. So what we did was to sort of like see with the students in asking them whether are the posters as well as the campaigning that is currently happening in the country running down to the 8th of May elections, are those posters and campaigning saying anything to them, and are they convincing enough for them to actually vote in the 8th of May? So what we did in compiling the insert that you've just seen right now is that we needed to look at the demographics of the students in terms of the race, as well as the gender. As you know, that South Africa is quite a multiracial country. But Peter, in terms of the overall impression that we got from the insert is that students are really disinterested in politics, and they are very much disinterested in voting at all. I think because one of the students, some of them were basically saying that there's nothing new. In every 5 years, everything is the same, nothing changes. Although that they felt that, okay, since it's their first time voting, they will vote just for, in terms of the experience, just to get the experience of voting for the first time, but they don't want to sort of like put their hopes up high because they haven't seen anything positive happening within the country. Now, I think one of the things that the students are actually concerned about is jobs, because they're afraid that once they do graduate eventually, will there be jobs for them? Because we know that unemployment is a big issue in our country, and there's a lot of graduates out there who are without a job. So those are one of the concerns, as well as their living conditions back within their community. I mean, some people are living in shacks and so forth. So the living conditions within the community. And another thing is crime. They get robbed while going to campus and so forth. So they very much not quite convinced, although one student actually was saying that the EFF is quite, they can relate more to the EFF because they're very young people and they're very vibrant in their approach.
So let me ask you this, Mandilake. They're not interested in national politics, but there does seem to be a vibrant politics on campus itself, especially when it comes to choosing the SRC. Why the disconnect from campus to the national story? Well, Peter, I mean, if you look, the varsity politics as well as your national in the whole country politics is very different. When it comes to your varsity politics, it's the struggle and the fight is far more different compared to the national. What they fighting for in the varsity politics is the challenges, maybe free education and things like that. So there's quite a gap between varsity politics as well as your national politics, because your national politics are dealing with quite a wider spectrum of the living conditions, the community, and overall. And your varsity politics only deals with within the varsity challenges. So I think that's the particular difference there.
All right, okay. And then perhaps finally, I want to ask about you and your studies. Are you finding that the teaching that you're getting is preparing you for the journalism that's required for young people who are going to be the consumers of the news? I sometimes wonder, as an older journalist, whether I'm speaking the right language to young people.
Well, I would say, Peter, obviously, as you said, that you are much older generation of journalism. I think right now what they actually preparing us, because as you know that we're living in a digital world, news are updated within seconds, and right now what we're learning is that we're learning in terms of Twitter, Facebook, and things like that. So that's where we sort of like get our news from, and things are much more quicker than that, than the traditional media, which is your TV, your radio. Young people don't want to be watching a 30-minute bulletin on TV. They would rather go on Twitter and see an update. They would rather go on Facebook. They would rather go on YouTube, because that's this is the digital age. This is the generation where we consume our news. So I think even now the way that we're learning more of mobile journalism,
right.
that you not necessarily in a newsroom and compiling your news for people. You can just basically use your phone, and you compiling everything within your phone, and within seconds you're already distributing those particular news. So there's a big difference, Peter, as you said, from the old journalism to us, the current journalists that are the future.
Yeah. Mandilaka, thanks very much indeed for joining us, and thanks so much for your story and your insights, and I hope that the politicians have been paying attention. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, so that's the team from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology. And let me bring in my guest editors today. Did that surprise you? I suppose
I'm not surprised. I mean, they are young. They do things differently. I have my daughter is 27 years old. I see her behavior. She's a professional. I really relate to what he is saying. My son is 32. I can see how he behaves. And that is why I said, when you were asking around political pressure, I said, things have changed. Politicians must understand that if they want the youth vote, you won't find the youth vote on SABC News Bulletin, because they can't. Their concentration, they can't sit there and watch 24 hours.
Yeah.
The digital platform is quite important. And two, as someone, even though I'm old school, I'm almost on my way out.
Yeah.
It is for that reason I'm trying to be active on social media. And when I look at the responses all the time when I talk about news, because that's all what I do, the responses that I get all the time are from young people, from different race groups, but also across the world. And they start, when they respond, Meso, I'm like, okay.
This must be a young person.
Yeah, it's a young person.
Yeah.
And I have learned to kind of communicate with them. I have tried to understand their language, to try and ensure that whatever we do at the SABC's foreign desk, they do follow us. And
so
I'm
new
happy
media is
doing
really,
it. They're doing
it's
it.
much bigger than we ever thought. I mean,
it's huge.
This
it's
idea
huge.
that we have a news bulletin at 8 o'clock at night that we grew up on, that's a thing of the past now.
Yeah, you look at the SABC digital platform, you'll be shocked the numbers there.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that the advertisers haven't realized that. For example, people are talking about SAFM that has lost the viewership. Go and check the live streams, 2 million.
On the same
worldwide,
channel.
not only in South Africa. So we need to reskill ourselves as journalists and perhaps get training. But my concern with the young journalists, and I hope the lecturers in the universities, please assist them. Don't just focus on technology, content, how to put the content out there and compile good content.
Yeah. Azola, your thoughts?
My thoughts, particularly on the social media part of it. I think these are the first elections where social media is having such a huge impact. And as I've said before, written before in an article that is published on our website, that there's also a trend of influencing on social media. So you get opposing views. I mean, people debate critically or sometimes not so critically on social media.